I haven't been making too many videos lately, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing because I was getting into this role of doing my projects around here and then just filming them and putting them on YouTube and yada, yada, yada. The whole reason I'm out here is I've wanted to be out here for a long time, and it's taken me my whole life. I'm 63 to get out here. And when I say get out here, I mean off grid, living on land and creating the home that I've envisioned. Nothing, I mean, I just bought raw land and I've done with it whatever the videos have shown. You've seen it. I've shown the process. And it's not to say, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, look how cool this is, or anything like that. It's trying to be honest and chronicling what it looks like to do that. And I haven't been the best chronicler of my process in the past, and I thought, well, that needs to change. I need to document these things in the hopes that perhaps I can learn from my own process and teach others. I mean, at the heart of it, I still am a teacher. I retired over 5 years ago from teaching, but I still enjoy teaching. And so it's just innate in me. And I was thinking this morning as I woke up, I watched a video, Cambell, who's Australian, Autodidactic is his channel. I'll link in the description to it. He's great. And he posted a video asking about, what's going on here? How have people changed? Where has our time gone? Mostly, he likened it to sort of what, before and after computers, before and after the internet, before and after, COVID and all these things. And yes, we're all kind of, well, I can't say all, I don't know. But I certainly share his thoughts in that things have changed. And I noticed in the classroom over 32 years, I watched it I started teaching in 1986. And I noticed it firsthand in the classroom, how kids were. And not just kids, but how everything was. I was a literature teacher, and the ability to read, just like Ray Bradbury predicted, didn't happen overnight. And I watched the evolution of kids. There were always kids who were lost in their books. And, you'd walk around the campus and they'd be in little areas, mostly on their own, kind of spread out, on the lawn or, at a bench or something like that, or in the hallways with their nose in a book. And they'd be lost in it. And you'd have great conversations about it. And then you'd have great conversations in the classroom about what we were all reading. And the classroom library is something that I developed and expanded into great libraries of books that kids wanted to read. They were excited about reading. Well, that came to pass, sadly. But just as Ray Bradbury predicted, and I was fortunate enough to meet Ray Bradbury on a couple occasions just before he passed, and that prescient warning in Fahrenheit 451, where you don't destroy a society. Well, you don't need to burn books to destroy a society. You just have to sort of build a society where books are not loved and appreciated anymore. And that warning has come to pass. Yeah, I guess people still read books, people still write books, but are people taking those great books and applying them philosophically to their own lives? And I don't think so. I'm reading John Wooden's book right now. I'm almost finished with it. I've read it before. It's called They Call Me Coach, and it was written in the early 70s, I believe. John Wooden was the coach of UCLA. To me, He was not just a great coach, but a great teacher. And he always viewed himself as a teacher, as an English teacher, as a matter of fact. But what that book instills, to me anyway, are kind of the lost ideals and principles of the American culture. John Wooden was a throwback to the old-fashioned way of living, of seeing, of teaching, of coaching, of everything. You know, he was a humble man from Indiana. He grew up on a farm, didn't have much money, and you know, you can read the book for yourself, but it reminded me of how things have changed. And it was so simple back then, and I think all of us can appreciate that. I think the formation of my coming out here and doing what I'm doing started back in the 1970s, that whole back to nature, whole earth catalog kind of movement. To me, being from California, I saw it firsthand. People were moving out in nature, into nature. And, you know, right now, I think we have to look at that movement then and say, well, why did that stop? Or has it stopped? Or are we just perceiving it differently? For example, when you are so tied up into the media, which seems to be the case, you know, everyone's carrying around a phone, everyone's tied to their notifications, everyone's looking at so much information that's just bombarding. You know, what are you to do faced with all that? Well, I think, and I was thinking about this morning as I was walking with my dogs. You know, a strange thing used to happen to me when I was teaching. Every year I'd kind of lose my voice. I don't know why. I'd get laryngitis, and it would just, you know, be a couple days and then it would pass. But I noticed on those days when I couldn't talk, even my rowdiest classes of, you know, high school kids and what have you, because I couldn't talk above a whisper, they would start to lower their voices. And they would talk to me in whispers. And they were just the calmest, quietest days. And I really thought, wow, what an amazing phenomenon that is. So that's a reminder, that example of, it begins with us. If we quiet ourselves, or if we're quieted, in the case of laryngitis, others around us, it's just a human response. They notice it, and the response is, oh, somehow they become quieter. I think that's our example to live by. We can't change the world, but we can certainly change ourselves. And when we change, it's just an innate human thing. Others perceive that, and they change accordingly. If you can't scream and yell or raise your voice, neither will they. So we have to get back to, well, how do we spend our time? How do we see our world? How do we move through it? And just live by that example. And that's how we take our time and our focus and our attention to things to heart, firsthand. And we live by those things. It's taken me a long, long time, as it does for, I'm sure, everybody, if we're fortunate to live a long time. And that's all relative, right? To get to the realization of, what are we doing here? And how do we want to spend our time? I've noticed that when you get to that tipping point where you have fewer years ahead of you than you do behind you, it changes your perception of everything. That's the wisdom, I think, that elders have. Hopefully. But not always. There's no guarantees, right? And so, time is all how you want to spend it. It's how you want to focus on it. It doesn't change. You change. And when you do change, as suddenly as something like the laryngitis example, others can change around you. You can have a profound impact. Just like that. Just like that. So I was listening to Cambell from Autodidactic, and he was talking about a digital detox. I think it's a great idea. We don't have to completely abandon our phones and the internet and computers and the modern world. But we can lessen their effects on us by detoxing, by taking a break, by taking back our time. You know? I know it's harder and harder these days to read a book and to focus and to spend that time on ourselves in that meditative state that we get into when we're reading, especially a long book. But we can do that. We can take that back. You know, you can't have all the media going on, and that defeats the whole purpose. So when he talks about a digital detox, you know, I think about getting back into reading. You know, taking back and getting back into that meditative state, you know, that you used to witness around you all the time. You'd be in a subway in New York City or whatever, and people all had books, and they were all reading. You'd walk around a campus like I did for decades as a teacher, and you'd watch kids get lost in a book. I remember when the Harry Potter series came out, and kids were excited about that. It was probably the last time I remember that kids were excited about reading. It doesn't matter what you're reading. It's the state of meditation that you get into, shutting off the world for a while and getting into a meditative state that is really, really focused on your imagination and the process of reading and how we take that in and we think about it. I hope that's not lost. It can't be. Ray Bradbury said, I mean, if you look at the example in the last chapter of Fahrenheit 451, after the cataclysm, right? What's left? Just a few survivors that were wandering around, you know, and the character, you know, the protagonist asked the question, you know, what are these people doing, these survivors? And the answer given to him was, well, that's Milton and that's Shakespeare, and, you know, over there is, you know, Descartes. And they're muttering these books to themselves to keep them alive, to, you know, dedicate them to their memory, and then pass them on that way. Just a few survivors. But it was so important that the great works stayed alive, you know. The masters, the people who wrote these books centuries ago, they all knew this. I mean, Plato and Socrates, well, Socrates didn't write his books, but Plato did certainly. And Shakespeare and all of them, Milton. They warned of this. They all knew it. I think Shakespeare especially. I mean, I look at how he spoke of humanity with such knowing, right? Such keen insight into the human condition. They knew. They knew. This is nothing new. So, what's the message here? Hopefully a positive one. That by digital detoxing, by taking back your time, by slowing down and getting back to what's really, really important. It may take breaking completely, like I did, from society and getting into a state where your environment allows you to do this. But I think we can do it in small ways. Detoxing, leaving your phone at home, getting into a book, or just being quiet and appreciating solitude. So this is a different kind of video. I don't usually make videos like this, but I thought, I don't want to just go on and just show that I'm building all the time. I don't build. I have a lot of time out here. And how I spend it, you know, is up to me. And it's up to you. and it's up to all of us. So the quickening that's going on, right? The quickening, it may be true, but I think there's another way forward, right? And it's probably by going back. God bless you all. Appreciate all the comments and love that people throw at me on this channel. I didn't expect it. I really just made videos to chronicle my process out here, and I don't know. I have over 1,000 subscribers. It's kind of weird. I didn't expect it. But it's very gratifying. So I know people are listening, not a lot, but enough. Maybe those few survivors, like in Bradbury's, the last chapter of Fahrenheit 451. We are the survivors. We are the ones who we've all been waiting for. And now it's us together that are doing the communicating. Well, let's communicate the great thoughts in the great books, right? And the great thinkers. But most of all, let's just communicate with each other that we're not so different. And we have to remember that, right? Talk to you later. Take care.